RuneScape. So many memories. RuneScape was such a huge game for me. It became very popular while I was in high school, and pretty much everyone played it. There were lines at the local library for kids to take turns on the computers, and every computer in the back of the classrooms at school were filled with players running around the wilderness. This was a game I truly grew up with, and by that I mean it lasted longer than any other game I've ever played. I would log on frequently as I grew older, and it would still rekindle the same charm it had over me. The years didn't matter. From high school to college to corporate America, RuneScape was with me every step of the way. When I got my 10-year cape a few years ago, it was crazy to see how much time had gone by. Obviously, the time I spent playing RuneScape dwindled due to changes in my life. But when the old school version came out, I couldn't help but take my ticket to paradise and roll back the clock half a decade. As I got older, my exploration in the world decreased, and I often found myself in the same areas, which were essentially the Grand Exchange and Clan Wars. By this point, I had long since maxed my combat stats to my liking, but I do remember the journey to get there. Along the way, there were some areas that were important to me, and this one in particular offered a lot of time to reflect on things. The place I'm referring to is Dragontooth Island, a land that was once forgotten. Dragontooth Island was once just an island off the coast of Mauritania that you visited during the quest Ghost Ahoy, and then after that, it really didn't have any purpose. It was devoid of everything besides a few scattered trees. But as your ghostly chauffeur puts it, that's entirely what makes it beautiful. And honestly, I found myself coming back to this area pretty often. The best part about it was that I felt like I was on the edge of the world. And while on this island, everyone else was so far away. Honestly, no one came to this area. And it was a good place to train some magic or just chill out. After reaching certain goals in RuneScape, whether by acquiring my dream equipment or reaching a 99, I would just space out on this island. While the water didn't move at all, which was kind of funny to me, it still gave me the sense of the ocean. Like I had mentioned in my last Pixel Portals video, I had yet to visit the ocean before. So even though RuneScape's graphics weren't the most marvelous, it felt like I was standing on a painting of the ocean. Years later, I actually visited the coast of Maine of the United States, and it reminded me a lot of Dragontooth Island. From the rocky outcrops of the shore to the pine trees scattered about, they definitely felt pretty similar. There were even a few bogs I went through that were similar to Mauritania, except without the impending sense of doom and despair. Oh, and vampires. There were no vampires in Maine. In some aspect, Port Phasmatis, the decrepit town you reach Dragontooth from, also shared a lot of nostalgic moments for me. For one, I always tried to get that darn bedsheet costume out of the area. Nothing would have satisfied me more than barrage rushing someone with a bedsheet equipped. But alas, my dream never came to fruition. Of course, I never really got into PvP worlds either, so I have no idea if that would even work. I am glad to see that in RuneScape 3, the bedsheet still retains the old school animation though. Just look at that nonchalant head turn. So nostalgic. Another thing to point out is that I spent a lot of time at the dock at Port Phasmatis in general. At the north end of the dock was where I often did my bolt enchanting, since if you placed your cursor above the water, you didn't have to worry about your character accidentally moving if you misclicked. There's also the variety of places you can travel to via boat, and I often found myself running through this area several times a day. Going back over to Dragontooth Island though, I have to say the present day island is a lot more lively than it has ever been. It has become a stomping ground for those wishing to train high-level divination, and is even involved with another quest besides Ghost Ahoy. Unfortunately, because of that, it's sort of lost some of its magic in the process. It is no longer the destination of Solitude it once was, but I suppose that can't be helped. However, in my memories, it will always remain special to me, regardless of how it evolves in the future. To me, it will always be one of my pixel portals. But now that we're on the topic of RuneScape, do you have any favorite areas in the game? Perhaps you have a fond memory of a place in the wilderness. Or maybe you have your own special skilling location where you poured hours into your character as you work towards your skill cape. I'd love to hear your own personal stories, so please share them in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in to our serene trip to a faraway island. If you'd like to join us on our YouTube voyage and set sail for your childhood, then the subscribe button is just what you're looking for. Thanks for watching, guys and gals, and until our next video, cheers. You've made it to the end of the video, but wait, your quest isn't over yet. I hope you enjoyed this nostalgic trip to the past. If you haven't already, why not check out why Gelato Beach is so special to me in Super Mario Sunshine? Or, if you're not feeling nostalgic, perhaps you might like to watch me put on an Undertale costume and place hot dogs on people's heads. Regardless, I hope you enjoy.